Hello! Today we are going to learn to arm knit a giant blanket, hopefully. Ever since I moved into my apartment over a year ago, I wanted one of those giant knitted blankets to throw over the end of my bed. I thought it would look really pretty and like very Pinteresty, but they're really, really expensive and I didn't want to spend that kind of money. They're like $200+ for like a queen size blanket, which I did not want to invest in. So I kept my eye out, and a couple months later, I was walking through Michael's and I saw this giant yarn. Specifically, it's a size 7, I guess. So I saw this yarn and it came in a couple different colors. Initially, I didn't want to invest the money even in that because it was around like $20 a skein, and I think I needed like 4 skeins maybe to do it. So that'd be like $80, and I was like, I don't really want to invest that kind of money in it. Then the longer that I didn't have the blanket, the longer I was like, I really want that blanket. So I decided it was finally time to invest the money in the actual yarn. And now I have to invest my time in the blanket. I did used to knit for a few months. I became kind of obsessed with it when I was like 9, 10 years old, something like that. But then quickly fell out of it, as I did with a lot of my hobbies growing up. But here we are to try this again. I've seen some other people on YouTube doing this. There's lots of information and tutorials out there, so I'm hoping that it won't be too difficult. I have my laptop here set up so I can watch some videos and see if I can figure this out. I ordered 5 skeins of this. Each bundle has 54 yards of yarn, and it's all like decently thick yarn, so it should be a pretty quick and easy process, I think, to knit this thing. Ooh, it's already shedding. It doesn't seem to be machine washable. It is hand washed only. But I mean, I probably wouldn't have thrown this thing in the washer anyway. The reality is it's just gonna sit on the very top of my bed, so every once in a while I'll probably just dust it off. I don't know. Anyway, let's figure it out. So I'm gonna link this video in the description below that I'm watching, but she's making a much smaller blanket than I was planning on making. So I'm gonna see if I can like alter the sizes to be more of what I wanted. So I've just done a little bit of research and I can't seem to find anything that tells me how many loops or whatever is going to be the length that I want to make a full size or queen size blanket. But I found some measurements, so I got out my measuring tape and we're gonna see if we can figure this out. Here it says 90 inches by 90 inches. Fits a regular queen bed. So I guess we're gonna see if we can do that. What does it even look like? Well, it's obviously wider than my desk. My desk is about 54. Oh, I only got 60. It's gonna be about almost twice the width of my desk. So I guess we're gonna do enough loops until it almost doubles the width of my desk. This is gonna be crazy. How the heck am I gonna do this with this little space? I don't know, I guess we'll figure it out when we get there. I guess the first step is casting on. How the heck do you find the end of it? Oh, found it. Very easy, actually. So she said to start by making a slip knot, which was putting your hand like this, and then twisting it, and grabbing the working yarn. Oh yeah, okay, that's slippy. Slip knot-ish. Suddenly makes the band seem way less intimidating. And then you pull it through itself, and then reach into that loop and pull it through. She said, see if you can make all these the same size. Don't know how the heck that's gonna happen. I feel like my first knot might have been too big. Okay, let's undo this. Okay, that's a smaller loop. And that loop is sort of equal sized. Honestly, it's probably not gonna be beautiful, but it's gonna get balled up at the foot of my bed anyway, so just gonna give it my best shot. Now she's only casting on 18 stitches. I'm probably gonna cast on way more than that because, like I said, I'm trying to go the whole length of this desk. Okay, didn't like that. Starting over. Okay, was I supposed to do something with this yarn to make it less sheddy? I feel like this thing is just gonna shed everywhere. This is purely gonna be for looks. Okay, this part's freaking easy. Although I'm probably just doing it wrong. Yeah, it already looks like I did it wrong. Oh, that's what I did, I think. I like flipped it the opposite way. Okay, I think I can redo this and do it better. Hold on. When you pull it through, it's important that you don't just willy-nilly grab it. It actually goes through the same way each time. Giddy up! keep like 3 more loops and then I can double it back. Woo! Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your yarn. Okay, you guys, seriously, this is actually kind of like stupid easy. Like, if I can do this, you can do this. Then again, we're also still just casting on, so don't quote me on it yet. All right, that is 1 length of the desk. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 26. I'm gonna say it's about like 26 loops width-wise. So half of that would be 13, so I have another 13 to go. From here, that's 1, 2, 13. That is 13 more loops. Okay, that should be the width I want on my blanket. Now let's see what I'm supposed to do after casting everything on. Okay, so I went through the last loop of the casting on and I pulled it up instead of that way, I guess, and that creates the first loop of the next row. Oh, that's easy enough. Okay, so then after I have that first loop, then you just go through the first like top loop here and pull up and just try and make it like the same size of little bunny ears as the first loop. And I think I'm just gonna do that all the way across. Okay, we've had a development. We are not arm knitting, we are hand knitting. Never mind, we're hand knitting a blanket. So she advises holding the last loop as you pull the new loop through, which I think my yarn is thick enough to kind of hold its own shape, but I'll do it anyway. So I have finished my first row of loops, and to start the next row you do literally the same thing. You just reach through the last loop and pull through a new loop and pull it up, and then start from there. Instead of going through those little like triangle loops or whatever she called them, to do the next stitch you're just gonna pull it through the loop you made on the row before. Exactly it was, but some loop of something has gone missing down here. Alright, so I guess I kind of figured it out. I just kind of like looped it around itself a few times, and now we're just gonna go back the other direction. So I'm just gonna keep doing this all the way back again, and I think basically what I'm gonna keep doing is that back and forth all the way across for as many rows up as I want to go. Since I went almost 40 stitches wide, I think I'm going to do the same and do 40 stitches in height. So I have 37-ish more rows to go. It's actually starting to come along and look like a freaking blanket, which is crazy. There are a few things that I messed up and that I just can't fix. It is what it is. But I've already reached the end of the first 54 yards of fabric, so I have my next one ready to go. I really hope the 5 I got are enough. I do have one extra big bundle, but it's white. So maybe I guess I could do like a few rows of white at the end if it doesn't end up lasting all the way through. But I'm hoping it does. Hoping my 5 skeins of yarn are enough. So I guess to tie on the next one, I'm just literally going to tie it on. I'm literally just gonna like make a little knot at the end, tie the two together, and hope that that's okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna make a really tight knot, and then maybe I'll cut the excess off later if I don't find that I'm able to like stick the excess in somewhere else. So here we go again. Hello, lady. So we had to move to the floor because the blanket's huge. One direction at least. It's very, very wide and not very long at all. I think it's gonna go over the end of my bed and fold in half once to kind of create the illusion that it's much thicker. I don't know. We have some bumps and bruises along the way, but the last thing we have to do is called binding off. You're supposed to do 2 stitches like you're going back the same way. So 2 stitches, and then you take the second stitch and you put the first stitch through it and kind of like, I think, tighten that off a little bit. And then you do the same thing again. You do another stitch and then you loop that one through it. No, loop that one through it. Yeah, okay. And then keep going like that. And I'm gonna go all the way across the end of the blanket. As you see, I also ran out of the gray, so I added in that one skein of white that I had. I decided to just add that in and make it some kind of cool color blocking thing, which I'm gonna pretend I like. So I realized I didn't have enough yarn to do that, so I had to undo the last row, and now I'm gonna finish it off, starting at the other end. Okay, so after referring to the video, the last thing I need to do is I'm going to cut off the majority of the excess so that I can do the last stitch. So to finish off the very end, you take, I think it's the last loop through the last stitch, and then pull this up and just pull it tight. And then the video says to weave through this end bit back into this end that I've just created of the blanket. And then I'm gonna do the same thing to the other end where I started it when I cast off. Okay, now I'm gonna show you the finished product and we can talk about some of the issues we had. Hi, lady. Here's the finished blanket. It is a little stretched out, but it also just is completely misshapen here because as I started to do this, it started to get wider and wider, and so I was trying to make the stitches tighter and tighter, and eventually I was just like, forget it, I don't want it to be this big. I know what I'll do. I'll just disappear one of these lines into the next one and it'll just completely vanish. But no, of course, it looks like a weird growth of the issues I had. There are a few that you can pick out, like it's really loose over in some areas and the lines aren't perfectly straight. Like this is what the stitches probably should look like throughout, and instead there's plenty of places where they just don't quite match up, or I missed a loop or whatever. But I'd say for my first attempt at hand knitting, I think it came out pretty good. I'm super happy with it. It's incredibly soft and plushy. You can kind of tell just how big and soft and plushy it is. Here is my hand for scale. It's my baby and I made it. And there's my other baby. Hello, lady. So here we are, about 3.5 hours later. The final tally on this whole project is it is about 72 inches wide and 54 inches long. I'm just gonna kind of switch those dimensions and pretend that the long sides are the length sides and the short sides are the width sides. And then I'll have this random freaking stripe of white down the side. I really thought I was going to have extra yarn to return. Looking at the dimensions online, it was like, oh, you need X amount of yards for a queen size blanket, and each bundle of yarn that I got had 54 yards, and I was only supposed to need 172 in total. But anyway, I made it work with all of the 5 gray bundles of yarn that I had, and then the 1 white. As I was doing this project for 3.5 hours, I was thinking to myself, why the heck am I doing this? First of all, this blanket is incredibly heavy. So heavy that I have trouble lifting it just to move it over here so that you can see it. But it's pretty. I always wanted one. I think it looks really cool. There are bumps and bruises along the way, like I said, but I made it, and I think that makes it even more special. What sucks is that I can't wash it. So like I said, no one's gonna be able to touch it or anything. It's just purely for looks. It is incredibly hot right now in California, at least for the past couple of days. It's been really hot and humid and gross. I have been sleeping with the air conditioner on and no socks, which is a big deal for me. The idea of making this blanket occurred to me many months ago, but I finally got around to it, and you know what? It'll be great come next winter. I had a lot of fun learning this. I'm gonna leave some helpful links links down below to videos and measurements and things like that that I can find that helped me out. Final price for this item, for the 5 gray bundles, each one was $17.47 on sale. The total came out to $87.35, which brings it to like $105 if you add in the white skein that I used. If I were gonna do this again, I would definitely not go as wide as I did. I would start out a little bit smaller. It might not end up being full queen sized. You could probably get away with just the like $87, $88-ish that it took to do the 5 bundles of yarn. Depending on where you look online, these blankets range anywhere from like $50, $60-ish to like $270, like $300, depending on the size that you want. A similarly sized blanket to this, I actually just found on Etsy for $350 on sale. So the fact that I only spent $100 on this, and I mean it took 3 hours of my life, but I spent that time watching a Netflix documentary anyway. It honestly wasn't that bad. And the fact that I now have this blanket, it will stay with me for a lifetime. It will be treated well and hand washed. I'm really happy with the final product. Like I said, there's some things I would change, but at the end of the day, this means a lot to me and it's gonna be valued. Overall, super fun project. Would I do it again? Possibly. Give me a few months and wait till the weather changes. I hope you guys learned a little something new with me today. Like I said, helpful links will be down below. Go ahead and leave a comment if you guys have ever tried like arm knitting or hand knitting or anything like that. I would find it super interesting to hear about your experience. Tag me in social media posts if you guys choose to try and recreate this with hashtag learning to giant knit, I guess. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. I've got some really cool video ideas planned, especially for Cobra Kai fans, if there are any of you out there watching. So definitely subscribe and I will catch you there. Bye!